I'm Ron Jess for 30, and in 3 years of doing these, we've never done any politics. We avoid politics. That's probably kind of what I talk with everybody about when they come on. We just have, because it can create some issues. So we love sports and entertainment, and now in the next 30 days, I was just telling our guests today that we have Congressman John James. We have next Highland Park Mayor Mama Shoe, the greatest, absolute greatest person, my friend Mama Shoe. And happy today to welcome Senator Mark Huizenga. So Mark, please tell us about your mom and dad, brothers and sisters.
Sure. So I grew up, my dad was a teacher and we had a farm. So my dad was gone during the winter teaching, and in the summertime, we all worked on the farm. There were 4 of us kids. My parents must have been very methodical because it was boy, girl, and 2 years apart. And I was the oldest. And so that meant that I was usually the one that's leading. And I'll tell you, I don't think there's anything better than growing up on a farm, because I had a chance to play in the woods, play in the barn, learn about things, take things apart. And I think in those days, my parents, unlike most parents today, they kind of just let me do whatever I wanted to. And I had a tremendous amount of curiosity. My mother was also a teacher, and I think some of the curiosity I had came from my parents. But they also instilled into me the values of good work hard, and stand up for your name, and always tell the truth. And those are timeless attributes that I still say I use today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what town were you born in?
So I was born at Blodgett Hospital in East Grand Rapids, and then grew up for the first few years of my life in the city of Wyoming. My dad bought the farm when I was about 3, and so we transitioned to the farm life.
Well, we had 4 boys, 4 girls. You had 4. You had 2 boys, 2 girls.
Yep.
What's that relationship like these days?
You know, we're still close. My brother lives in California, my sister lives in Arizona, and my other sister lives in Zealand. 2 of them are teachers, and my brother's a business guy, works for a pharmaceutical company. And I've had a storied, long list of different careers that I've had over my professional life as well.
Well, it seemed like you worked hard on the farm, like we were talking earlier. What about high school and college, Mark?
Sure, I went to Calvin Christian in Granville. I was brought up in this Dutch family and, instilled with hard work. I'll be honest, I wasn't the best student in the world, mostly because I think in my head, I was always about finding a better way to do things. And, fast forward my life as a consultant or working in somebody in business to try to make things better. It actually was a good attribute to have. But, algebra is about protocols and consistency. And if you're trying to find a way around it, it usually comes back to bite you.
Yeah.
But I was a smart enough kid. I took the chemistries and stuff like that. And I will tell you, my high school guidance counselor did say, well, Mark, you're not college material. So what kind of trades are you thinking you want to get into? Yeah. And to me, that really kind of pushed me to get a little more focused on the academics.
So I think we were going to talk about, why did you decide to run for political office?
Yeah, it's really not that cool of a story in a lot of ways. It's more about happenstance. And I tell people that want to get into politics that if you have a strategic plan for what your political life should be, you're going to fail. You're going to fail miserably, because politics, I would contend, is about taking advantages of those small windows of opportunity that just happen to occur. There's a nudge that happens, and my nudge was my insurance guy. Well, so I own a consulting business, and so my insurance guy was at my office one day, home office, and he said, hey, Mark, have you ever thought about being on the planning commission for the city of Walker? And I said, no, I've frankly never given that a thought. He's like, well, you've done some development, and you know about real estate and things like that. Would you do it? And I thought, you know what? If I can help my community, sure, I'd be willing to do that. So he said, so if I gave your name to the mayor, you would say yes. I said, yeah, I would do that. He's like, so I'm going to call the mayor, and if he calls you, you'll still say yes. I'm like, yeah, I said I would do it. So fast forward, a couple hours, the mayor calls me up and says, hey, I understand you're interested in being on the planning commission. You've got some skill set that might fit there. And so I was on the planning commission for 6 years, and there was a guy who was the city commissioner who was the liaison to planning commission. And he said, Mark, I think you're smart. I like the way that you work. You're methodical. Someday when I retire from the city commission, I want you to run for my seat on the city commission. And I said, sure, we can do that.
That's awesome. It's a great story. What's your take on Mike Duggan dropping out of the race, the governor's race? I know the Democrats early on told him he was too old for the Democrats. So the fact is he did a great job in Detroit. But what's your take on that?
Well, first of all, I think Mike Duggan's a great guy. I've had a chance to meet him several times. He's very personable. I thought perhaps for the first time you'd see an independent, but the reality is, where do the independents meet? Where's the party affiliation in the counties? What kind of a convention do they have? They don't have it. And so although I like Mike Duggan, I like his policies, he's been a great worker, I think he would have been one that people actually would have said, I can get excited about this. And frankly, I think there is a lot of appetite right now for people saying, I want something different. I want a practical leader. I want someone that we can know, that we can trust, that will speak to us, but that also has a track record that's not just politics. And so I was a little bit disappointed when he dropped out. I kind of thought he'd try to at least make it through the primary. But, I can't pretend to understand what happened behind the scenes there, but I'm a little disappointed about that. I think that if you saw what he was doing things that resonated with both hard Republicans and hard Democrats. If you saw the people that were endorsing him, lots of unions around the state got on board with the guy. And, these are the people that are usually like hardcore Democrats. And so it was a big change. And I don't know, we'll see what happens. But, we're going to move back to the same old two-party system. Got to find the nominee from both parties. Looks like Benson will be the nominee for the Democrats, of course. But we'll see what happens on the Republican side. I did endorse John James. I'm really not a big guy to go out there and endorse people because I'm in a 50-50 seat. But John James has the characteristics of people that I believe in. He's a family guy. He's a business guy. He's a Christian. And you want somebody that knows how to run a budget.
I had Judge Mike Reardon on here, and he's an appeals court judge for the city of Detroit. He's a friend of mine, Irish Catholic.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine. And it was funny because that was one of the things he said. He said in appeals court, they don't want to hear a loud, obnoxious attorney coming in there. They want facts. They want written word. That's what he's looking for.
I think that's what the voters want, right, too. I think a lot of people are tired of the political narrative, the mudslinging and whatever. And let's just get down to brass tacks and let's talk about the issues, the kitchen table issues that matter right now, whether it's high prices, housing being high, broken roads, and our kids with poor education scores.
Yeah, people want to know, what can you do for me, Mark?
Yeah, that's right.
Mark, what are you going to do for us?
Yeah, that's right.
And I was reading last night I've been really watching a lot of things in Ireland, which is just disturbing. But maybe talk about that a little later. But it had to do with kids and young people, the affordability. And I saw this 30 years ago in Canada. What happened, the housing got out of reach for them. And look at Canada. What a mess. That place is a disaster right now. And I was on the phone last night with a guy from Sarnia. He's got a Great Lakes Industrial Supply over there in Sarnia. And he's saying, I wish the United States would have taken over Canada. Seriously. Carney, after that, who was the last guy in there?
I don't remember.
Trudeau.
Yeah.
And he was, but we'll not spend a lot of time on Canada. However, I guess the Gordie Howe Bridge is going to be open soon.
Yeah, maybe kind of starting and stopping a little bit. I remember back when I was the mayor of Walker and people were concerned about this idea of us building a bridge. Well, the Canadians are paying for it now. But I think people often underestimate the impact that Canada has on Michigan and the United States as a massive trading partner. And if you look at just the auto industry alone, the backbone of Michigan, there's so much freight that goes back and forth over those bridges. A lot of those components, I've heard some of these things go back and forth 10 or 15 times. As various stages of assembly occur. So they can and should be a good partner for us. We win with them, they win with us. And, it's also very similar, but also very different too. Their country is just different in so many ways from a planning, zoning. And, people always talk about like Canadian healthcare, like we should have this, like to save costs, this is what we should do. And I think people oftentimes don't realize the fact that it's not Canadian healthcare, it's provincial healthcare. So if you're in Ontario healthcare, in British Columbia, Alberta, they're all different. So be careful what you wish for, and this notion of it's free and cheap simply isn't the case either.
Yeah, that free and cheap's good. They're wearing that out today in New York City and a lot of other places. But that healthcare, It's funny. I hear them say that. And I see a lot of Canadians down in Naples. We spent some time there in Marco Island, and they're paying $1.50 or $1.60 for our dollar, and things are bad in Canada right now.
Well, I asked a woman one time. I was at a conference, and I said, "So if you're in British Columbia and you get sick, and there happens to be the best surgeon for this terrible disease that you have in Toronto, how exactly does that work if it's provincial? Do you just go there? Do you have to get a referral or what it would be?" And she's like, "Oh, if I had a bad cancer diagnosis," and she was a nurse, she said, "the first thing I'd do, I'd go to the States."
Yeah, I hear that.
Like,
I hear that.
Okay,
yes.
well, okay, so maybe it's not as perfect as people think or hope.
Every show we do from day one is for veterans, charities, and foundations. What would be closest to your heart?
Well, definitely veterans. You know, my grandfather served in World War II. He was on a ship. My dad tells a story. He's passed now, but that when he was a little kid, when his first memories of his dad, he was like 3, because that's when he came back. He was gone. He didn't know him. He didn't know who his dad was. And when my grandfather died, then we saw all these medals that he won, but he never talked about it. And we have so many heroes from World War II. It's just incredible. I'll add to that, my father-in-law, he served in the United States Marine Corps. He tells us stories about working in Okinawa, going to Korea, and all those different things, and what he learned from it, and what it meant for him to be a proud American Marine. And then my son currently serves in the United States Marine Corps as well. So a long storied past of people giving back to our country. And I think especially right now, this year, in our 250th anniversary, what an incredible thing to say that we have the best military in the world, and the freedoms that we have are because of those people.
Well, we've had some songs we've had written. We've had Louis Lee in here, Michaela Prue. We've had so many entertainers come through here and done shows with them. And we always say, make America great again. Okay. Well, a lot of people don't think it was bad ever.
Right.
So how about we change it to Beta, bring America together again.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
like that. I like that's what we need. That division is crazy, Mark.
Well, and I'll tell you too, just in that veterans perspective, it's not something that we think about historically. It's right now too. So people say, well, what can we do for veterans today? So like I go to the call bingo at the veterans home in Grand Rapids a couple times a year typically. We get involved with Wreaths Across America, putting wreaths on the tombstones of the fallen warriors from our country. And we can and should honor them every single day.
Saturday, I'm going with my 6 brothers and sisters. The older sister, Kathy, died a few years ago, but there's still 7 of us. And every one of us, it's my dad's 100th birthday, so we're going to have a little cake out in Holly. Because you see the flag, that's in every show, because the father-in-law was a colonel, Guadalcanal. My dad was on a destroyer, the USS Bory, hit by a kamikaze when he was about 20 years old, 22, and picking up body parts.
Yeah.
So we're going to honor my dad. I loved him. You always say, there's this thing about when you go to heaven, Mark, who do you want to see? There's hands down in my life, I want to see my dad first.
Yeah. Yep.
God first, hopefully. Hopefully, but dad first.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a good guy. He was honest. He never swore for a sailor. He didn't drink. He didn't swear. He was tough.
Yeah.
Oh, he was mighty tough.
I asked my grandfather one time, I said, I always heard these stories about guys in the Navy that, that you got free cigarettes or cheap cigarettes or stuff, but I've never seen you smoke. What's up with that? He's like, oh yeah, I smoked plenty. And I said, well, how'd you quit? Because everybody talks about how hard it is to quit smoking. He said, well, I'll tell you what happened. One day I rolled my own because I'm Dutch and cheap, and that doggone tobacco was all dry, and I thought I'd try to moisten it up a little bit, so I put a little water, and I was trying to, and then as I was moving around a little bit, the dumb thing fell in the sink, and he's like, I got so mad, I just said, I'm giving up this stuff. I don't need it anymore. So talk about grit.
Yeah, that was it.
People don't give up tobacco like that usually. Like he said, that was it. I drew a line right there.
He was
tough guy.
He was lucky.
Yeah.
It's harder to give it up
I
than
know.
heroin, right?
Yeah, I've heard. Yep.
What's your thoughts on the governor race? Probably we're going to look at John James coming against Jacqueline Benson. What's your gut on? What's your feeling on that right now?
Right now, I think that John James is a good contender. I think he's got a good chance of getting out there. He's got good name ID in the Southeast already. Half of this business, I tell people, is name ID. Who are you? Who knows who Mark Huizenga is? Well, a lot of people in my district do. But if I ran for governor, like people in Southeast Michigan, where frankly most of the people are, they'd have no idea who I am. But John's got the name ID down here. But he's also got good name ID in West Michigan. So that's really going for him. And then I think his reputation, he's got a good voting record in Congress. You look at what he stands for and ideologically what he'll do. He's he's a contemplative, and I think he'll be a good leader. And I think people oftentimes underestimate the power of the governor in leading the departments and pulling them together. And I think somebody with the military background really is going to be a good candidate for this. So I'm hopeful that John James is there. I think he's got a great chance. Look, Jocelyn Benson's been the Secretary of State for the last 7 3/4 years, I guess. Not a terrible job there, but also, what did we change? So I think people are looking for some change.
Well, we like to jump around on the show a little, so I don't want to throw, it's just different. I do like that. I like to change it up. And in my lifetime, have never seen the corruption, you name it. Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, New York City, Minneapolis, and I don't want to say Lansing. I mean, you worked there, but I don't know. There's a lot of question. They like to have Doge up there or something. They wanted, and maybe they do. You would know that more than me. But there's a lot of people that don't have faith in and for good reason.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
right.
look at Minneapolis. I mean, all in Los Angeles, my God, the money they spend and the homeless out there.
Yeah.
We can't even go visit there. I love San Francisco.
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
Los Angeles. New York City.
I'll tell you, though, I'm a trust but verify kind of guy. I've known the software industry for a very long time. And here's an example. Right now, there's this notion that we should have a bill that says that we're going to have the exchange be part of the state. So this is the federal government's Obamacare, where you can sign up for it and get your Obamacare through the website, healthcare.gov. This bill says we bring it back to Michigan. Well, we don't do software well in Michigan. If you look at the fraud and abuse that came out of the unemployment department during the pandemic, billions of dollars that were stolen, the department took off the guardrails for it. The federal government's still trying to figure out if they're going to sue these people that got it. Now, this really isn't fair to the people that received the money. They probably should have known that it wasn't coming their way rightfully, but they probably don't have that money to pay it back right now anyways. We don't have a good record with things like even this disclosure package. I supported the disclosure. It says, and I've always run on transparency, availability, and accountability. And so we should let people know and disclose if we've got conflicts of interest. And I believe in that, and I do it, and I support it. But when that package came out, the Secretary of State launched this program, spent $9 million on it, and it didn't work. They didn't even test it. So when we got our instructions on how to do it, what the login looked like, the login didn't even work right. And it was a one time in Lansing that we saw the Democrats, Republicans, and governor come together extremely quickly to pass a bill, give it immediate effect, and sign on it that says, the software is so bad, we need you guys to do this on paper. And so we did it. And now here's the worst case scenario, the program called MySocWis. Millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars spent on MySocWis, a piece of software to take care of our most vulnerable residents, our kids in foster care. The federal government sued us, and they won because it's done so poorly. And so do you really think that we should be doing this for who knows what reason, just control or to say we're going to get better performance? Let's not mess with it. Let's make sure that we take care of people in Michigan first. Let's not try to make things better. Let's try to fix what we have right now and make it better without having to disrupt everything all the time.
Well, people don't trust anymore.
Right.
And
those kind of stories are why.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
Yeah, Washington particularly. But even like currently, there's approximately 20 to 28% of Americans support the construction of data centers near their homes. 71 oppose it. And then you find places where these people who have regular jobs are certainly not qualified to approve these.
Yeah.
And they're approving them, and people are losing their minds over it in Michigan, right? I mean,
yeah.
Celine is one. They're trying to get one in Howell, I think, and South Lyon.
Sure.
They're going all over in there.
Yeah.
And so there's a water issue, there's a noise issue, there's a pollution issue, there's people are nervous.
Yeah. And rightfully so, because it is scary. People are afraid of big data. They're afraid of artificial intelligence for right reasons. And government can and should put the right governing conditions there. But also what you said was where I started, where our conversation started with me politically. I was on the planning commission, and it's incumbent upon the local people to make those determinations about what fits and what doesn't fit. If it's going to be in a big industrial building, then make sure it's an industrial park. And look, I think a lot of people recognize that data is the way things go, but right now people are frankly just afraid of it. They're afraid that it's moving too quickly. And even just last week, there was a headline that says, I think we should put a pause on some of the AI because we don't know what this means. And when the companies that are doing this say we should probably pause it, it's probably a good thing.
Hello, Senator. I mean, if you look at electric cars, so we're kind of white. I don't even like the white car or blue car. I just feel like we know where we came from. We grew up as Grand River and Beach and Redford Township, tough, fighting all the time, Irish Catholic, blue collar. And you have these situations now where again, I hate to keep going back to trust, but if nobody's going to jail for committing and stealing our money, we pay taxes. You pay taxes.
Yeah, of course.
You seem like a great guy. You seem like you came from the right place and have it. But the other situation and what's going on with this the theft.
Yeah, but the electric cars is a great example.
Yes.
When has it happened in our country that's built on freedom and choices that we have a government that says you're all going to be driving electric vehicles? And so what happens when the big three hear, well, we're going to have to do this. It sounds like it's a mandate. The whole administration's on board with it. We're going to have to pivot and we're going to have to change. And every one of these big car manufacturers, not only the U.S. based, but across the globe are saying, look, I guess we made a mistake. It's not what we thought. And you see a $10 billion write-off by a Ford or a $12 billion write-off by Stellantis, billions and billions of dollars. And people go like, we really weren't quite ready for this. And that's not how the free market is supposed to work. If people want electric cars, I don't think that's a problem. But you should choose that, and that's the way America is supposed to work, not a mandate from the federal government.
I could have told you that 15 years ago, calling on the plants.
Yeah.
The Proving Ground in Chelsea, Stellantis, it's changed its names 10 times.
Yeah.
Chrysler, it was
We probably all think
FCA.
of it as Chrysler Plymouth Dodge.
Yeah, out at the world headquarters in Auburn Hills.
Yep.
Dearborn, going to the Dyno Labs, the Indian test. I could have told them, save them a lot of money. Don't do it. Why? Because the employees, the workers didn't want it. They knew it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And frankly, that was a disaster. 87% of Americans didn't want it, but the government jammed it down their throats. That's crazy.
It is crazy. And at what cost? So now these plants have been converted over, or literally tens of billions of dollars that have to be written off. That's horrible. And I'll tell you this too. I'll tell you too. I went to my wife's class reunion a couple years ago, and this guy was her classmate. He says, look, Mark, I got to tell you, I know you're involved in politics, but I want to tell you what's happening with this electric cars. I work in auto manufacturing, and all my buddies are not voting for the Democrats anymore because they're taking our jobs away. And let's face it, if you're going to let the free market work, that's one thing, but you can't let a government mandate. And that's not what workers want. That's not what people want. And we don't want government telling us to do. That's why we have representative government. We have people that we elect to make those decisions, but not just something out of Washington, D.C., mandating this is what you're going to do. That's not the American way.
No, we don't want it that.
No.
And Mary Barra at General Motors, I don't know if you watched, from what I understand, that wasn't enough, the fact that everybody in the country know it failed, and we did years and years ago. She's jumping in that with both feet.
Mm-hmm.
General Motors is going electric, I believe, on just about everything. Now, Toyota, they use their head. They use that hybrid.
Yeah.
They're going hybrid all across the board, but not Mary Barra at General Motors.
Yeah.
And I just it
Well,
just
we see a
makes
lot
no
of
sense.
we see a lot of the reshoring right now. The new plants that are reopening in Michigan. Guess what? They're all internal combustion engines.
Yeah.
Pulling from plants from Mexico and bringing them back to Michigan. So that's a good thing, and I'm glad to see that we're doing that because this is where auto industry is based.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about Toronto earlier in Canada, Ontario area, and you know that huge Chrysler Stellantis plant is coming back here, right?
Oshawa, is it?
I believe so. It's huge,
Yeah.
and it's God knows what's going to happen then. But
Yeah.
then you take a look, and I want to be positive. We try to have fun on the show, right? We joke and we laugh, and we do, but there's serious issues. If you take a look internationally at Russia and Ukraine, Canada's Carney over there, oh my God, Britain's Starmer, oh my God, that guy's destroying Ireland. He is destroying Ireland all by himself. Nobody likes him. He's got probably a 5% approval rating. How do you, do you understand the politics over there?
I haven't been following Ireland, so I don't really know about that.
Okay, well that's close. Saturday I'm taking my two-year-old and 4-year-old Cormac and Caleb, our grandkids, to Livonia for the Irish Festival.
Oh, cool.
We ride in the parade with Darren McCarty down the Detroit.
Right.
So you ought to come to some Irish stuff.
There you go.
Well, it's you are who you are, and you watch the Catholics and Protestant, and I'll get off of that, but I will say they're going to unite.
Yeah.
They fought. The hatred there was beyond belief, but you watch.
Well, I will tell you this.
They're going to unite.
Before I was in the legislature, I had a healthcare consulting business, and I was at a conference one time, and they were talking about hospital design. And they actually said that this architect said he designed a hospital that was going to be in Ireland, and they had floors that were designated for the Catholics and floors for the Protestants because they didn't want to have the conflict.
Yeah.
And so if we can unite, the reality is that between Catholics and Protestants, we're probably 95+% the same in our beliefs anyways. And there are some nuances. Even within the Catholics, there are different nuances within, Anglican and, all this stuff. And the Protestants, the same sort of thing. But again, most of it's the same. And I would say this, as I go and have traveled around, there's a few things that are the same for everybody. They want to raise a family. They want to put food on the table and maybe go on vacation once in a while. Those are truths that are evident, not just here in Michigan, not just across the United States, but across the globe. And we have to get back to the basics that says, how do we let people be successful? And I always say people in Michigan, we want Michigan to be a good place, raise a family, start a business. But that's what we want. Everybody wants the same thing, really. How do we find ways to get to it? And the division that we have right now, it's not good.
Yeah. And it's like a fight you had 20 years ago or 15 years ago with someone. By the time you meet up around 15 years ago, you're going, what were we fighting about?
Yeah, that's right.
We need America to be the United States of America. And if we could get some of these people to assimilate when they came here, like our parents did.
Yeah.
Mark, what do you and your wife, Chris, what do you like to do when you're away from Lansing for fun, entertainment?
We both love to hike. I love to go down to Arizona. It's a great place to visit. I love the mountains down there. We like to go south of Tucson. There's mountains there. It's just less busy. That's a great thing. We love to travel. I always think that you can learn a lot from traveling, whether it's in Michigan, across this great country, or internationally. We've been blessed to be able to travel around the world quite a bit and think that that's really valuable and enjoy it. Frankly, this job's pretty hard. It takes all of the time. Some people ask me, like, how much time does it take to be a senator? And the answer is the same thing as when I was mayor, as much as I let it, because you can always do more. And we do a lot. We try to do as much as we can, but that means we're working super hard every day. And so when it does come time for vacations, we got to decompress.
Yeah, no question. Michelle my wife just got us couple plane tickets to Italy and for 2 weeks in September, and maybe we'll scoot up to Ireland, fly over there.
Yeah.
It's nice when you can fly there for $76.
Yeah, that's a deal.
Yeah, when those miles, those Delta miles, the credit card, they're nice. But
I'll tell you one thing that we do with most of our spare time, though, is spend time with our grandkids. Yeah. And you said you have grandkids, and
6.
When you have kids, it's one thing. But when you have grandkids, it's a completely different deal. I remember our first one, my daughter brings him over, and I'm holding the little guy, and he starts to cry, and I pass him back, and she's like, "What's this all about?" I says, "Oh no, I've heard from many grandparents that this is the way it's supposed to work. We only get the good stuff,
Yeah.
and you can take care of the tough times." But we all love them so much, and they're so much such a blessing on our family, and really that gift of life when you see these kids grow, get their personalities, it's indescribable until you get to be a part of it.
Whatever it is, you take the time, and you got to get down on the floor and roll around with them. You know that, but. Mark, I'm going to stay on the lighter side for boating, traveling, fishing. What did you? I noticed you like to hunt. Are you friends with Ted Nugent? Or?
I've met him once.
Yeah.
But I do like to hunt. That's a relaxing thing we like to do. I used to have a sailboat when I was younger, before I was married, and my wife and I got married. She had a jet ski, and I had a sailboat, and we were getting married, going to buy a house. We said we both sold them, and we bought a house instead. But I like to fish too. I love to fish in Michigan, fish in Canada.
Nice.
I love the outdoors. And frankly, I'll be honest with you, I just love going for a walk in the woods. Mm-hmm. We live by Millennium Park in Grand Rapids. It's like 1,500 acres, which is incredible. I love walking in the woods up north and just getting away from things and slowing down, get away from the noise, listen to the birds. It's therapeutic.
I spent 5 weeks, 1 week after another, up at Houghton Lake. You know what I was doing up there?
Relaxing?
No.
What?
2-inch pump out of the crawl space.
Oh.
Water, 100-year floods. 5 weeks in a row, I had to go up there and pump water out. But, Mark, soon we'll be out on a Tuesday or Wednesday, or my wife will float out there on our Tri-Tune. We got a Godfrey Monaco. It's beautiful.
Nice.
And we'll just float out in the middle. We'll throw the anchor out, put some music on, and have a picnic or whatever. And 22,000 acres. It's a big lake.
That's huge. Yeah,
it really is.
We're so blessed in Michigan with so many lakes. It's really, it's pretty incredible. I know I heard, Minnesota always has the license plates, the land of 10,000 lakes. And I heard somebody say that we're 11,000.
Oh, probably true. And 12,000 golf courses.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you golf at all?
I do. I love to golf.
We have to come into Lakeland. With Lakeland, we have Oak Point here, and we have Lakeland, and ours is better.
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
it's 100 and some years old. I get lost because they've put so many additions on. I'm walking around. What room am I in here? I get lost in the clubhouse.
Campaign year, so we're not doing a lot of recreational golf this year, of course. But
you can't get away for
we got to work.
afternoon.
Got to be on the doors every day. So.
Who was the political figure you looked up to the most when you were growing up?
It's interesting how people develop what their own ideological bent is and who you gravitate towards, and how young people and when they make that determination if they're Republican or Democrat or who they look forward to. But, I was in high school in the 80s, and Ronald Reagan was the guy where I thought, this is a guy that's making change. He's standing strong. He had a mission, and you look at the things that he did that were positive. Like, you remember the take down that wall speech. Everybody that was alive in that area, things like, wow, that's incredible. I was just asking somebody who was young the other day. I said, yeah, well, I remember when I was a kid seeing things that said made in West Germany. And, of course, there was a West and East Germany. We got stuff from West Germany. But, that changed the world, the footprint of the way Europe worked. And to stand up to the Soviets and to really be strong, to be a stalwart, and to make sure we could build our military so we could continue to be a strong and safe country. Ronald Reagan was the most influential person for me from a presidential perspective, and I always look forward to seeing his stuff, reading his material. I've had a chance to go to the Reagan Ranch a couple times out in Santa Barbara. It's incredible. What were
you doing out there?
I had a chance to go out there for a political event, and we were invited to go up and see the ranch. It's run by a nonprofit, but they preserved it in exactly the way that Ronald Reagan left it. He's got a Montgomery Ward's lawn tractor mower in his garage, and he put a presidential seal on it. And guess who mowed the lawn?
Nancy.
Ronald Reagan.
Oh, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
He's building a fence around his farm, and he's got a ranch up there. He's riding horses. He was a big horse guy. And he's using not just 4x4 or 6x6 posts. He's got telephone poles. He cut them to size, and he did it. And then the story was the Secret Service guy said, well, look, we have people that could probably help you with this. He's like, no, nonsense. I need to get out there and work, get something done. So he's still a man of the people.
Yeah.
The guy that knows how to work, get things done. Like, you just can't have people doing stuff for you all the time. You got to dig in there and get your own work done too. You got to still be connected. And I think Ronald Reagan was that guy for me.
Yeah, we're gonna have 35 kids at the house on Thursday. My grandson's having the boys and the girls. The girls over now too. He's in 7th grade. But yeah, I like cutting the grass, barbecue. We like all those things.
Yeah.
Fishing, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever's up for the day.
I think that's kind of a normal thing to say.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not with
just
my
be American.
Well,
just be
yeah.
Michigander. That's what I'm saying.
Most
Like,
people, yeah.
get out there. Like, I like to go fishing. Maybe I don't every day. Some people are just they're one track, but like I like to do a little bit of everything, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of mountain climbing. When I first got out of college,
go with Bear Girls or
no. Me and my brother, we did a lot of stuff together. Done a lot of 14ers in Colorado. I've summited Mount Rainier. That was quite a treat because got to the top. They say, well, these big mountains, Mount Rainier is an active volcano, and it's got it's the most glaciated mountain in North America, floor 48. And you get to the top, and there's a steam vent, and there's steam coming out of it. I guess that's what they're talking about. It's like, this thing is actually a volcano. Someday it's going to explode. And so just having those kind of experiences, just once in a lifetime chance. But get out there, enjoy this great country and the wilderness we have, the parks that we have in Michigan and across the country. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we had a cool experience in Alaska. I took my son, he was a quarterback at Heartland High School, and played baseball for our Dick Scott Dodgers, and he was a good athlete. And there was a moment between junior and senior year, we went to Alaska, and we're out near watching the glaciers kind of fall, and, we went out of Seward and, I think around Anchorage or whatever, but we're there, and it's the Shamu. What's the name of that? The whale?
Shamu? Like the killer whale?
We had a killer whale.
Yeah.
We had like 3 of them come toward our boat. They were coming right at us, and I'm filming. I'm going, I hope they dip down. Sure enough, they go down. And the coolest part was they popped up real high out. So I ran across the boat, and I'm filming these things. I get on my son, and I go, Jeremy, he's 17. I go, what'd you think, Jeremy? He goes, that's cool, Dad. That's it?
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny,
Yeah.
He's a good
No, it's
kid.
amazing. I've never been to Alaska. It's on the list to do someday.
We've been there 4 times.
Wow,
That's
cool.
That's a good trip. Any proudest moments for you in the state legislature?
There's lots of things that we've done that make a difference, but I think there's nothing that I've done that's probably more important than the prison education program. Sid Jansma from Grand Rapids, he and I were talking quite a few years ago, even before I was in the legislature, and he was telling me about this Calvin prison education. I went to Calvin University, so proud of what they do there. I really didn't know what it was, but they went down to Louisiana and patterned this program after that. And Sid's trying to help me to understand why this is important. He says, we're trying to raise money, and we're going to get education for the lifers. I was like, I got to get a little better pitch. What are we trying to do here? I just didn't understand the program. And he said, no, you don't understand. We know that through data that if you get a lifer educated, their disposition, their attitude changes. They become a better prisoner, and it impacts the prison, reduces violence. So Calvin's grown this thing, and it's a bona fide bachelor's degree that's the same as the Calvin degree. I get a chance to speak at their graduation for quite a few years now. I asked a guy one time, I said, so what was your favorite class here? And he says, well, I took, my favorite class was philosophy. And I said, well, I took philosophy at CC because Calvin's philosophy department is pretty hard. And these are the same professors that are at Calvin campus versus the prison. And I said, what's your second favorite class? And he said, religion. And I said, why is it that those two are your favorite classes? And he said, I've done so much wrong against so many people in my life. It's the only way I can reconcile between my head and my heart of all the wrong that that's gone on in my life. And so I chaired the higher education subcommittee and appropriations, and the minority vice chair at the time said, how do we get a program like this at the women's prison in Ypsilanti? And I said, boy, let me think about it. I thought, well, Calvin's got this nationally acclaimed program. Why don't we not try to reinvent the wheel? Let's do a train the trainer program. So got them a grant to expand it. And now these programs are in 12 prisons around the country. So let's assume you don't even care about people, which most people do. It saves the state a ton of money because the violence has gone down so much. at the Hanlon prison where this started. It used to be known as the Gladiator Prison. It was such a rough and tumble place. And now, guess what they call it? Candyland. I was with a big donor one time. We were at the door, and he says to the gate agent, he says, "Hey, what do you think of this prison education program here?" He's like, "I've been here 25 years. I've seen a lot of things come and go. I've never seen anything change the culture of a prison environment in my entire career here." And so not only does it change the people and the hearts and their minds that are getting that education, now it's not just the lifers, it's the people that get out. It gives them new hope. But it also changes the trajectory of their family so that children of the parents that have been incarcerated that get the education are much less likely to be incarcerated. It's something like 60% of the kids, if your parent's incarcerated, you're going to end up in the prison as well.
That's awesome. And, in the last couple of days, maybe the last week, one of these women's prisons, you know about it, there were 3 women that, it's too early, and maybe you can't say, maybe you know, maybe you can't say anyway.
I don't know. I did hear about
how they
it.
died. There were 3 of them dead in these prisons, and they'll investigate. Mark, we're quick. I like to do this. My last guest here was Lawrence Jake Sweeney. It says the forward is by Lloyd Carr, head coach of the 97 National Championship Michigan Wolverines. The book's called You're Allowed to Try. It's 102 pages. He was sitting there last Friday. I said it's 102, and he said, no, it's 106. I said, dude, you want to look at it? It's right here, 102 pages. That's what it is. Jake. Yeah. He's my trainer now, so he's giving me a little attitude. But the book is Coach's Playbook on Discipline, Adversity, and Personal Excellence. Lawrence Jake Sweeney. It's about a 2-hour read or so. And I'd say go ahead and pick it up. It's $20 at Amazon, and it's all the things Bo Schembechler taught him. He actually won a Rose Bowl with Bo, which was rare. Bo didn't win many, but he also trained our guys at Border Patrol. He ran Border Patrol. Jake Sweeney. He's from Alma, Michigan. He trained thousands and thousands of Border Patrol guys. He's a tough guy, and he's always bust my chops. I walk in the door, and he's right on me, but he lives it. He's chiseled. He's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's 64 years old.
But this is applicable to all of us. You're allowed to try, and not only you're allowed, but you should.
You should.
Everybody should get out there and make yourself a little bit uncomfortable. I tell young people especially, if you're in a situation where it's making you uncomfortable when you're trying something new, it's probably a sign of rapid growth, and you're becoming a better person for it. That's foundational and transformational. It defines who you are. So get out there and try something new, even if you haven't even had a chance to try it before or had an inkling that you wanted to try it.
You're right. You should try. And the reason the name of the book, I know you told me the other day why it's called You're Allowed to Try, was because he had a Michigan strength coach that just buried him. I mean, he was killing them every day. And when they were all leaving the training, the guy said, "You're allowed to try."
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
I'll tell you, when I was in college and a truck driver, then I said to a guy, I said, "Well, I'm going to Spain next semester." He says, "Spain? How's your Spanish?" I said, "I don't know any Spanish. It's an immersion program, so I'm going to learn it over there." And I was allowed to try, and that's how I wanted to get it. I wanted to see the world. And so for the cost of a tuition for a semester, I went over there and spent a semester. Let me tell you, it was tough. I didn't know one word of Spanish when I got there, but I spoke okay to get along when I was done. But it expanded my horizon and made me a better person.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's easier when you're young, I've heard, to learn it than when you get a little older.
For sure.
Mark, Senator, can you believe it's been 5 years since we all had these?
No.
5 years. I'm looking at the date this morning. It said 4/15/21, and it's just unbelievable. Since that COVID madness, the nasty little gift we got from Dr. Fauci, and came over from China. How'd your family manage through that?
It was a tough time for sure. I told you about my son, he was in high school, senior year of high school during COVID. That's a terrible time to be a senior in high school. Then he went to
horrible.
Then he went to college towards the end of the pandemic, but they still required to do a lot of classes in Zoom. And he said, "I've had enough of this. I'm not doing the Zoom stuff anymore. I'm looking for more out of life, really." And that's why he joined the Marine Corps.
That's cool.
And said, "I want to serve my country, and this is my catalyst to get over there and do that." We were in the legislature. We didn't know what to do. I remember going to the econ conference in Grand Rapids, and they were talking about the COVID virus. And these guys they're pretty good. And outside consultant giving a presentation about the economy of the United States and Michigan and West Michigan. And he said, somebody asked a question, "What about this COVID thing?" It was just starting off. He said, "I think it's going to blow over. I'm not too worried about it. I don't think it'll have much of an impact economically." And that was the most wrong thing I think I probably ever heard in my life. But, statistically, we were due for one. It's 80 to 100 years out there. But again, the way we handled it in Michigan, it wasn't what I supported. We really took away a lot of people's freedoms wrongfully. And if you look at the way other states handled it, they did it better.
I have a close friend, Peter Giannopoulos, and he had a restaurant right here a block away on Main Street, Giannopoulos's.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to have one in Farmington. You know who his buddies were that came in there? Muhammad Ali, Frank Sinatra, Billy Martin from the Yankees, Chuck Daly from the Pistons. He had a big, beautiful restaurant a block away from here. They put him out of business. Yeah. They ruined his business. It was his last restaurant. The guy, he's a wonderful person. He just the nicest, greatest guy. And it was sad to watch where you'd go in there, we'd drive around the back because the street was torn up, by the way, too. Yeah. So he had a couple double jeopardies, but it was hard to watch, COVID, was over a year plus. It was like that Chris Christopherson song, Sunday morning hangover. Just that party, everyone just poured whatever they had in the new garbage can, and that's how you felt. It was miserable, and people you'd see them in the grocery store, Kroger's, remember they'd walk away from you. You'd wear the mask and you'd be going down, and they'd walk away from you. It was horrible. You know
the old saying about no great loss without some small gain. Yeah. The one gain, the positive I'd say about it was we never had more, better, close time with our family. Our kids were around. We got to do so much together. A lot of the chaos of what Lansing was like was shut down, and as sad as it was for restaurants, meant I was home more, spent more time with my kids. Yeah, and
that's a bonus.
There was some bonus out of it too.
Yeah, that is a bonus, and a lot of people realize that rather than going to work every day, that they could start their own businesses.
Yeah, right.
There were some weird things that benefited a lot of people. I just want to give the prop here to the Knights of Equity. I'm a vice sir knight with the Knights of Equity. It's an Irish Catholic organization. We just gave last month a check for about $32,000 to St. Christine's Soup Kitchen on 5 Mile in Detroit. And it's great. It's good to help people. We also, through the Knights of Equity, we do a U of D Mercy, a few scholarships every year. We give to kids, and so.
Well, and I think without question, that's one of the great things that makes our state and country great is that we do give back, and people give back to lots of good causes. It doesn't happen everywhere that way, and to give a hand to people that need help, that's you're a Christian. It's what's expected of us too.
Well, that's the whole purpose of this podcast, to be honest with you. When you have a theme that's to help the veterans, charities and foundations, we don't make any money here.
That's right. That's right.
As you know. But, I just want to touch on this for a minute, Senator. We've had, and you could look up Mama Shu, the next mayor of Highland Park, Lance Parrish, Dr. Kaczynski, Tom O'Brien, Darren McCarty, Peter Dante, quarterback and water boy. He was on here, sitting right there. And with Adam Sandler. Mickey Redmond, Peter Giannopoulos, again, Mel Farr Jr., Justin Sasante, head football coach at Catholic Central High School. Does it the right way. Yeah. God first, everything falls in behind that.
That's right.
That's what. So they won the state championship last year, beat Cass Tech at Ford Field. He's coach of the year. Nobody's betting against him this year. He knows what he's doing. And Father Brian Shabala, Jason Rathel, Jimmy J.J. Johnson, probably the best known radio guy in Michigan for a while with rock or country rock. And my first cousin, Colonel Mike Pearson, was here. And he used to be out in Virginia at Arlington National Cemetery, and we went to visit, and we toured with him after he came here. And he used to run security for Arlington National Cemetery as colonel.
What a special place in our country.
Oh my God! And then do you know what a lot of people don't know, Senator?
What's that?
A lot of people don't understand. You can take an hour drive over and be at Arlington at the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
So I called it Arlington. But Michelle and I, my wife and I, did that trip, and it's a beautiful part of our country.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, I was questioning, was there anything from your perspective you wanted to talk about, anything else that we haven't covered?
Yeah, I think that one of the most important things that people realize when there's divisiveness with politics is that we're all just people too. And that, like most things, people don't get in this business to cause trouble for people. They want to represent them. And if you knew what I knew about different things, we could talk about it. And having a conversation is probably one of the most important things that I do to sit down with constituents about issues that they have. And it's a tough business. It's a complicated business, and sometimes it's too hard to get on a palm card or to see in a clip about something. But I do office hours every month, a couple times, where people can come in and talk about if they don't like a bill, or if they like a bill, or they've got a good idea for a bill. Again, it goes back to my basics of politics: transparency, availability, and accountability. We're always there. You might not agree with me, but I can tell you how I came to my conclusions. And just because we disagree doesn't mean I don't like you. And look, I work with Republicans, and I don't always agree with them. I work with Democrats, and I don't always agree with them. And guess what? I don't always agree with my wife. And so when people think that we all should agree on everything all the time, that's not the American way at all. In fact, it's the opposite. We should understand what our differences are and talk about it and have a conversation and find ways to meet in the middle. And we can all learn from everything. And so at the end of the day, I'm so proud to represent the people of the 30th District. It's the coolest district around, I think. We've got suburban, urban, rural, from downtown Grand Rapids with tall buildings to farms in Allendale and Coopersville to places like the Grand Rapids Airport. Something for everybody.
A lot of breweries.
Yeah, a lot of breweries too.
So when the final curtain comes, we're kind of wrapping up. When the final curtain comes down, what would you like people to say about you, and what will you be remembered for, Senator?
I think people should look at my work and say he was a practical kind of leader, somebody who knew how to do the budget, somebody that read the bills, that voted the way that the majority of people in the district wanted him to vote, that he stood for things that really mattered. We're working on a bill package right now for behavioral health transport to help people in a mental health crisis get transported at a lower cost, things that help hospitals, mental health facilities. I've helped get appropriations for the new Pine Rest pediatric and adolescent medicine facility. I've helped get dollars for the Mary Pre-Bred pediatric facility as well. So standing up for things that really matter, things that make our community better and stronger, that are really designed to take care of people. And that's our job, to represent our people in the 30th District.
I got to say, talking to you, you're great. And the one thing that really struck home was your work with the people in prisons, because 3 years at this AA club, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. here in Brighton. Mm-hmm. But the guys there, they go to the jails, the county jails and things. And last Sunday, I was asked to go speak at a house, halfway house in Howell, and I did. And I was sitting around with 3 or 4 guys, and man, your stories. the story's rough,
It's tough.
rough stuff. And, if you can help them or, they ask. So, I think help your brothers, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Have you ever heard of the end of our show here? Have you watched any?
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
I'm in for a surprise.
Yeah, it's a shocker. We call it Jess Pickle Time.
Okay.
So, do you like pickles?
I do.
Good. Okay, it's pickle time, and Senator Huizenga, he's going to open these, and we're going to try a pickle, like down on the farm.
All right. Well, we have a large cucumber growing operation in Michigan. Did you know that we're the largest grower of pickles for making grower cucumbers?
Who?
That Michigan is?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, I thought you personally. I was going to say I'd like to make it. We've tried Velasquez. We've tried McClure's out of Detroit.
Yeah.
But you got to get. We wanted to do 1,000 or so, but they really want you to buy 10,000 of them.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, no, Michigan's a humongous
didn't know that.
grower and maker of pickles. Yep.
Really?
There's a place not too far from my district where they have something like 100 different bins that hold like 65,000 pounds of pickles itself and process every year, from selling out to McDonald's to Vlasics or whoever.
Maybe you can help me. You got a friend over there? You could. I would actually like to bottle. Well, we'll see what you think first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try one.
Is this your recipe?
Yeah. We've been making them for 30 years, and people seem to like them.
That's real good. Got a good strong vinegar flavor to it.
Yeah, you know why? Look at the date on there.
25. 8/17/25. It's a year, almost a year old. Mm-hmm.
But they're still crunchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. You grow them yourself too?
We might do a few this year, but
Yeah.
I usually go buy 2 bushels because I can get they're 40, 45 bucks for 2 bushels.
Yeah. My dad had this, we'd do some pick your own on the farm, and he'd grow cucumbers for people to pickle and stuff. And one lady came in, and those really small, the little midget size ones, pretty desirable. This lady came through and picked a whole bushel of those. And my dad was a little disappointed because he was selling them for full size pickles. And so it was a whole 2 weeks worth of pickles that she picked off of the patch.
Oh, she took them.
She took all the future real pickles coming out of there.
What are you going to do, right?
Yeah, that's right. They picked them now. Can't grow them now.
Okay, Mark, you got to rate them 1 to 10. 10 being the highest.
Yeah, this is definitely.
You could have another one.
This is definitely high ranking. It's got some crispness to it. Good vinegar, and has a little bit of you can tell the seasonings is nice, and I can see there's a little bit of the dillweed in there too.
Yeah, being a year old, eh?
That's authentic. It's really good. Thank you. How'd you get into making the pickles?
When I worked at a dental lab, Schumacher Sedan at 12 and Orchard Lake in Farmington. One of the grandpa, he gave me the recipe. You see, it's clear.
Yep.
No preservatives, no dyes. I mean, it's a real deal.
I had a friend of mine, he'd make pickles and he'd bring them over to my kids and they loved them. And so I told him one day, I said, hey, I'd love to get the recipe to share. My kids want to be able to do this. He's like, nope, that one's going to the grave with me.
Oh, seriously?
I said, I thought he was joking. He says, nope, it's not. Wow. It's not going anywhere. I'm like, okay.
I had some last week. We went to Schrodix down in Polish town down there.
Yeah. And, my wife is Polish, by the way.
Amtramck.
Yeah.
Oh, is she?
Yeah,
so
Naraki.
Yeah. We got a Slazarzik, my son-in-law.
Okay.
But anyway, I bought one and I looked at it and they were hot. I got to check. I looked at the green. Next year we're going to do 250 of them. Probably 50 will be hot, and they'll use crushed red peppers.
Okay.
And they
got some habaneros in there.
No, trust me, they're hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh,
but anyway, 1 to 10, Mark.
That's a 10.
Oh,
love
seriously?
It. Yeah, really good.
Wow.
I love it.
How about that?
Yeah.
You can come back anytime you want.
There you go.
Let's come and see you in Lansing.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate the time. Appreciate all you do for vets, too. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. We do
well
it. We try to help people,
Yeah.